Still using AutoCAD? You're spending more time drafting than designing. Revit is smarter, faster, and built for architecture and today. I'm going to show you why making the switch isn't just worth it, it's necessary for your business to stay competitive. And if you're worried about the learning curve, don't be. We've helped tons of designers and architects get started faster with BIM Depot's pre-built Revit templates and families. I'll show you how throughout this video. So AutoCAD is really just a 2D drafting platform. So it's really just a series of lines, blocks, and layers. So within this, none of this is really smart. It's just kind of a dumb line that you're drawing. So almost similar to when you're drafting by hand. So it's just a line, there's no embedded information within that. Well, Revit is kind of the opposite. It's built up of so many different components that are both three-dimensional and two-dimensional. If we go in and look at some of these components, every single component has information embedded within it. So this isn't just a series of lines, it's actually a model element that has embedded information, not only about what it is, so it's a fixed window, but it also tells you what a lot of the dimensions are, the materials, and so much more. Revit is a database of smart building components, so everything from walls, windows, doors, structure, everything that interact with your 2D components, so all the drawing sets that you're exporting. So at the end of the day, Revit is a 3D modeling and documentation system, not just a drafting tool like AutoCAD. So to see this in action, let's go ahead and edit one of these windows. And you'll notice that I have this shown in plan, in a detail section, in an elevation, in a 3D view, another elevational view, and our window schedule. So these are all coming from the same model. So let's look at this in the context of this Revit model. If I click on this window here, you'll notice that it turns blue within this location. It also turns blue in this detail section, in this elevation, in the 3D view, in the enlarged elevation, and it will also get modified within our window schedule here. So if we go into our properties, click edit type, and then change some of the qualities about this window. So let's go ahead and change some of the dimensions here. So we'll change it to a 6-foot height and a 3-foot width. And once we hit OK, you'll notice that it changed not only in this plan, but it also changed in all of our other views. So this really saves you so much time in backtracking and changing it in all the separate views that you're going to see. So all of your plans, your sections, your elevations, and then even your schedules as well. So you can see this number 57 changed from a 6'3" height to a 3-foot width and a 6-foot height. This really kind of shows you the power of what Revit can do and how it can improve your workflow and take a lot of that busy work that your staff is doing and really just automate so much of it. So it's not only a time saver, it's really a great quality assurance tool, making sure that your documents are accurate to what you're showing. So if we were to do the same change within AutoCAD, I'm sure you know this process well, but we're gonna have to go in here, manually change all of this, and this building being at an angle, it's going to be even more difficult to actually recreate a lot of this geometry. We're gonna have to go into our window schedule, manually change this. And then in our plans, we're gonna have to go through and then change our blocks. We're gonna have to adjust our wall openings and so much more. Again, all of this is really being automated within the Revit space. It's not kind of simple 2D lines, it's really complex and smart 3D geometries. So in reality, what you're losing out with not using Revit is just so many powerful features. So our plans, if we go into one of our building sections, you'll notice all of this is set up. This, when you start to make these cuts, they actually are really pulling from that plan information. So we're not manually having to go in and draw all of this. It's really, once we start to include that plan documentation, you're actually also coordinating this stuff in your section and 3D views. So it just makes that process so much faster. It's taking a lot of that legwork and upfront work of starting from that blank canvas, but really since you've already done it in plan, it's already getting the work started within your 3D views. The really nice thing about this is that, once we make updates, so say if we move these doors or anything like that, it's going to live update within these section views. It's not something that is static and needs to be changed manually. And one of the great huge benefits of using Revit is that stairs become so much easier. It's something that Revit is reading from the actual height you're giving it, so your floor to floor or whatever dimension you give it, and it's actually doing that math for you. So it's understanding what the total rise dimension is needed, and you can even give it the restrictions. So your maximum riser height, and essentially it's going to give you the least amount of steps that you can do with that given riser dimension. So I hear a lot of different reasons why people are not switching from AutoCAD to Revit. A lot of these fears relate to the cost, the complexity, and the learning curve that it takes to get over that hump of being kind of a new user to an effective user that is producing good documentations with it. Some of these complaints that I've heard that Revit is too hard, it is difficult to learn. It's not like it's a super user-friendly thing. It's really worth it. So take the time now to learn how to use it. And I promise that you'll benefit for the rest of your career from using it. It's going to save you and your company so much time and money. Another thing that I hear a lot is my projects are too small. There's really no need to use it in Revit. Even small projects can benefit from the coordination. So it's not only just coordination within your own document. Obviously you can imagine your door schedules, they just become so much easier to manage. You're not updating the stuff in plans and then having to backtrack to your schedule. You can also use this coordination between your consultants. So MEP, structural, civil, everything integrates so much better. And if you take advantage of the cloud platforms, sharing progress with your consultants is so much easier. And then another complaint that I hear a ton is I don't have time to rebuild everything. So reestablishing a lot of those standards, getting everything up to speed. There is a pretty big jump between starting Revit as a firm and just going from 0 to 100 with regards to being up to speed. But the reality is you're not really building from scratch. There's loads of resources out there that can help you. BIM Depot has a ton of resources that you can use. So we have within our platform, we have loads of Revit stuff here. So we have Revit families and templates. So you can use our membership and it'll gain access to all of this. But our Revit template is really kind of the baseline that can be used for everything. You can check out our video. It has a full in-depth analysis of that, the whole thing we have set up here. And then we also have loads of different families that you can use. So doors, windows, wall openings, electrical fixtures, and there's a lot more to come. So you're really not starting from scratch. There's loads of resources to help you get up to speed very quickly. So I've helped tons of firms switch over. I'm a practicing architect. I've helped a lot of the firms that I've worked for switch over, but also just firms switching over within the BIM Depot context. Every firm always understands the importance and value of Revit. You work so much faster with fewer mistakes. Your drawings are more consistent and professional. And the nice thing with working in Revit, your 3Ds are generated so much faster. So rendering processes are great. So your clients are going to love the 3D visualization that comes out of it. You can even get into things like takeoff. So utilizing some of the schedules and features within here that automates some of the schedules. I know it's not for every architect, but it could even help just kind of control some of your cost measures while you're in design. So you don't get too far down the road and then realize you're over budget. So one client told us that they cut drafting time in half after switching, and their documents look better too. So it's really a win-win all around. So you're saving time, you're saving money, and you're making your product actually look better too. So you really don't need to make this switch overnight, although you could. But if you're weary about it and you don't want to make that jump head first, there's loads of ways that you can kind of intelligently make that switch. So AutoCAD is really great for certain things. So for example, if your civil engineer on the project works in AutoCAD, which many do, it's still really easy to link some of these things in. So you'll see here our site plan. We actually have that linked in from a DWG. So this is linked in. It's using the same coordinate system. So we're not actually having to go in and manually place this stuff. If they send us an updated site plan here that is, native to AutoCAD, this will actually reload and be placed in the correct location. So we don't really have to mess with it every single time. It's something that's really just as simple as a refresh button. So the transition from Revit to AutoCAD, it doesn't really have to be all or nothing. It's really about evolving your workflow. You don't need to eliminate the tools that serve a purpose. So, for example, if you still really love drafting in AutoCAD, you have a nice detail library, you can still kind of do that. A lot can be gained with the parametric coordination that Revit gives. So one way to start using Revit without diving headfirst, you could start with a smaller home project and see how it works at a smaller scale before jumping in headfirst. And really, I would recommend not recreating your AutoCAD system. Really adopt a Revit ready system. So don't try and recreate all your exact same settings that you have in AutoCAD. So a big trap that people fall into when using Revit is that they try and use it like they're still in AutoCAD. So an example of this, some people might try and draw this sink as a 2D element. So what I mean by that is that they'll actually just use lines to create something that looks like a sink. So people will try and draw things in manually that look like a sink, but the issue with that is that if we go to tag this object, you're unable to do it. Now, if we go back, delete that line work. So now that we have our actual 3D geometry back in the model, let's go ahead and tag it. You'll notice that it tags it with the actual tag that we want it to show. And again, it's something that's live. So if we change the dimension of this, it's going to change in our plumbing fixture schedule, and it's really going to be coordinated across the set. So not only this one, but all the other locations that we have these sinks. So don't draw, model in Revit as if you are in Revit. So another common way that people use Revit improperly is within drafting views. So the 2D views that Revit has to offer. A lot of times you'll see people draw like they're in AutoCAD. So if they wanted to draw a gypsum board section, they would draw a hatch and then assign it the hatch that they would like. But really, this isn't the way that Revit was built. It was meant to be used using detail components and annotation components. So you'll see this is the Bin Depot gypsum board detail item. So really the benefit of doing this, using things like this, is that they're smart. So they're objects that actually have intelligent stuff built in and multiple versions. So let's say we wanted to change this from a 1/2 inch to a 5/8 board, kind of automatically updates there. So the nice thing is you can't really easily change this. So you always want your gypsum board to read at the dimension that you're actually giving it. A lot of times in AutoCAD, you might accidentally move a line and it'll become a weird wonky dimension. Within Revit, you're ensured that this is always going to be 5/8. Another nice feature within our components here is that we have like nice built-in little things. So where we're cutting off our section, you're actually able to hide those lines. So kind of just saves a lot of back-end stuff, just getting your drawings to look right. So with that being said, if you're ready to switch, check out Bin Depot's Revit template and families to start ahead of the curve. This is a page from one of our sheets. We have a lot of sheets already kind of built in with some details to kind of get you started. These aren't meant to replace your due diligence. So you still have to kind of fine tune them to be appropriate for your practice and all the codes and everything. But this is a good starting point for you to use. So really using this Bin Depot Revit template, it's going to ensure that you're being productive on your very first project and you're not trying to build up a lot of this baseline stuff, a lot of the graphics that we've already worked through. We've already built so many of these different components. They're ready to use. So you're spending time on your projects, on your design, and you're not spending your time trying to decode like how the back end of Revit, how you're actually building some of this stuff. So another huge benefit of using Revit is that you can actually see every single drawing and sheet that you have within one place. So the project browser really is the central location for all your views, your sheets, your schedules, legends, everything can be found in one model. It's not something that you're searching throughout your different file folders to find and having to open up new DWGs every time. It's all centrally located within this one location. So in reality, Revit isn't the future. It's already here. It's present day. If you're still in AutoCAD, you're not just falling behind, you're missing out, and you're also likely hurting your business. So if you'd like to hear more, check out some of our other videos and send us a comment below if you have any questions. And yeah, hit like if this helped you out, and subscribe for more Revit videos and tips.